name and your, I guess, how you're involved in the space program.
Okay, so my name is Jeanette Epps, and I'm one of the 2009 astronauts. I've been in the Corps 6 years now, and officially 6 years, August 17th. And so over that 6-year time, we've done all the astronaut training for long-duration missions, which include T-38 flying, spacewalk training, robotics, Russian language, ISS systems, and other analog missions that we would train in order to go do a long-duration mission.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're still active?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, and I haven't flown. So we're flying with the Russians. So the cadence for going to space is a lot slower than with the shuttle. And so because it's a little slower, the queue may be a little longer. So hopefully in the near future, I'll get a mission and go fly with the Russians.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you been involved with Shades of Blue, or have you heard of Shades of Blue, or is this your first involvement with it?
This is the first time I've been involved with Shades of Blue. I had heard about it, and I knew that it was a great program, but I didn't understand how deep the program was. And being here this Friday and Saturday has shown me how deep the program is with respect to getting students ready for whatever it takes to either become an airline pilot, to become an astronaut. I understand that there's a Shades of Blue graduate who is one of our new astronauts, Victor Glover. And so a program that can prepare you for something like becoming an astronaut, that is priceless. I think that's it's a testament to the program. So knowing that now and finding all of this out over the past 2 days, it's really kind of made me want to get involved with the program a lot more. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Great.
definitely.
That's great. So speaking of the kids involved, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you, I guess, how does that pump you up for, getting our new younger generation involved?
Yes, because one of the things that I noticed with the space program, it is a lot of people ask me, so the shuttle retired, what are we doing? How are we getting American astronauts to the International Space Station? Well, we are building things, but we need the next generation to come along and develop newer, bigger ideas for better propulsion systems that would take us out to Mars and bring us back home, not these one-way missions that people are talking about. So the only way to do that, when you look back at what happened when the first astronauts set foot on the moon and how that spurned a whole generation of scientists and engineers, we really need to do the same thing here now. How do we spurn that next generation to go on and do bigger and better things? So that's kind of the impetus for a lot of this stuff. We really have to get to that next phase of going deeper into space. We get out of low Earth orbit and go to an asteroid or to Mars. We may need a stepping stone, an engineering test bed, like going back to the moon, fully exploiting the moon, staying there for a couple of years and testing out everything we would need to do to go to Mars and stay there and then bring people back as well. So there's a lot of technology that we still need to develop and get to that next phase of development. I mean, there's all this dark matter. People talk about dark matter. How do you manipulate these things to get us to, develop warp-filled engines, warp engines? People are talking about that now. But how do you get the next generation and, students involved and interested in science, technology, and engineering, mathematics, and even art? So art is the next phase of having that imagination that can visualize a world where we do go through a wormhole and go to another dimension and do different things. So,
and I guess I would assume with what the Hubble
yes.
Is showing us nowadays. I mean, it just showing
blows you away,
so
huh?
much more that's out there. It's pretty amazing.
It makes you realize how much more work we have to do, because there's millions of worlds out there. And so, if there's millions of worlds, there's got to be a place that's similar to Earth. And if there's a place similar to Earth, is there life on these other places? So it makes you start thinking, a lot more worldly and global and then universe.
Mm-hmm.
So you start thinking outside of yourself a lot too. Yeah.
Now tonight is kind of an honoring African American astronauts.
Yeah.
How do you?
Well, it's interesting because you know, when they said, "Oh, you're gonna have a reunion," it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have a reunion. But we got here, and it turned out to be very special. And you know, it's special because you have a group of people who share the same stories, not just the same stories, a lot of the same experiences, and they kind of understand you directly because they're like, yeah, that. So when that happened to me, I did blah. And so that's very comforting. So you don't think, okay, that was weird. Is it just me, or does this happen to other people? So it does become kind of special in that way. But the nice thing that we did was we went to Cherokee Trail High School,
Okay.
and you know there was a group of people on stage, and the audience wasn't a black audience. It was an audience of people seeing other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, to me, it's for not for us to dispel myths for ourselves, but you know, hey, you know, there's all these other people out there that you may not have known about. And there were a lot of students who were very receptive, and it was very heartwarming because you know, they understand that it's no matter who you are, if you're in the Corps, there is a lot of work that you have to do to get there, no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to just select you, you know, as a box that needs to be checked. Even if there's a box that needs to be checked, you have to have all these qualifications. You have to have all of these other things that you need to do, because flying in space is not, it's not easy. You know, you are putting your life on the line, and you have to understand that before you come into the Corps. So, you know, there's a great thing I think that this whole 2 days has shown me, is that people appreciate the work that we've done. We do need to get together because there are people who understand you and understand what you've been through. And it makes you, it really does make you feel better. You can go back to work and it's like, oh, and nothing bothers me. It's just, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I do my work, and I make sure I excel and do as well as my counterparts. And you know, that is the joy that I get in my work. It's not other people praising me, but making sure that I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my crew. Whatever we need to do, we get it done, and we do it with excellence. So, you know, this has been, I think, a very important 2 days.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then being a woman,
Yeah.
how, you know, does that,
One of the things I love is to see the little girls that come up to me, and they're like, wow, we didn't know. And I'm like, see, and you know, there's a lot of women in the astronaut corps. And I think for young girls, I think there's an age at which there's a transition that takes place. I don't know if it's between 9 and 12, but all of a sudden, you know, when they were young, they were really good at math and science. And then they get to a certain age, all of a sudden that changes. And so we really want to keep these young ladies knowing that, hey, I can do math and science, I can do all of this other stuff, and I can keep on an upward trajectory. Just because I'm female doesn't mean I can't do science and engineering. But the great thing is that in the Corps, there's a lot of great women. So I don't have that issue, but I see younger girls who have that question in their mind. But then they see that one person and it clicks, and it's never a question ever again. Yeah, and so that's really heartwarming. You see these young ladies come up and they're like, wow, we didn't know.
yeah.
It's like, so I don't understand it, but I get it.
Yeah,
I get
right,
it.
right,
I get it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Any bold predictions for the space program at all?
I think in the next, so I'm going to say 4 to 5 years, the U.S. will have their own shuttle that can take American astronauts to the International Space Station. We won't have to rely on Russians to go to the space station. We don't have to speak Russian, but we probably will continue to do that because half of our crewmates will be Russian. And that's going to be big. And I think once we have that online, we'll have the Orion. And the Orion is specifically for deep space missions. And so what's cool about that is that it's supposed to take us out of a low Earth orbit and get us deeper into space. So who knows? Our first mission may not be to an asteroid or to Mars. It may be to an engineering test bed like the moon. So fingers crossed. I am not a geologist. I've just worked with a lot of geologists over the last 6 years. I do know that there's still a lot of research we can do on the moon. So if we can do that research, have an engineering test bed, test out everything we would do on Mars, and then go to Mars, I would feel safer going to Mars.
And you being on that mission?
Fingers crossed. I won't say no to that,
Yeah,
would you?
no.
No, I wouldn't say no to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add at all?
No, I think there's a bright future for space exploration in the U.S. Yeah.
Awesome.
I definitely think so.
Great,
So,
great. All righty,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
no problem.
That was awesome.
No problem. Hope I didn't sweat on you.